Good morning. Hey, pretty soon this is going away. We got warm weather coming, and the purpose of that blanket, that Portuguese uh, uh, well, I don't know if it's hand woven blanket, was to keep the warmth on this side of the basement. I can open the basement again, I think. Spring is coming. Anyway, yesterday I went to the Borough Council meeting in Roaring Spring. Now, some of this I might have told you was coming, I don't know. I had a purpose, which I'll tell you about in a moment. But one of the reasons I finally moved on it and decided I should go to the borough and council and explain to them what I'm doing. All this attention that I'm pouring onto the town of Roaring Spring. 70 videos, I think with this one, 70 videos in a playlist called the Roaring Spring campus of Frank's school. Made over almost a year now, all about Roaring Spring from my viewpoint. This is a YouTube channel, and I thought they should know that I'm doing all this. I don't know if any of them had noticed it before. And in addition, the Facebook group that I just created 2 weeks ago called the Once and Future Roaring Spring. Now, a public comment is allowed at the beginning of the meeting, and they ask the public to try to limit their comments to 5 minutes. And I remembered that because I had gone to 2 other council meetings, but I never said anything. I just sat in and listened. And I pretty much did limit myself to 5. I was well received. I explained what I was doing. I ended up explaining who I was, the nephew of Frank Bradley Camp, a war hero from World War II, honored by having his name as part of the name of the American Legion Lodge, which is the Ray Camp Lodge. And right before I finished, one of the men sitting there said, "Hey, you mentioned that my great uncle was Robert Ray, the other one." He knew about that. So anyway, I explained what I was doing, and it seemed friendly, very friendly actually, and I had their undivided attention. Of course, what I was doing was highly unusual, what I am doing. So I moved, and I did that, and they know about me now, and I expect that some of them are going to be making comments or at least noticing this video and other videos like it and some of the stuff I'm going to say. So I'm pleased about that. Now, that was not the dramatic point of the meeting by any means. I went to that meeting this time because there had been a post on the Facebook group Only in the Cove that said, attend the meeting, the Borough Council meeting on April, what was it, 13th maybe? Kind of bright orange thing, and it was a peculiar thing, and it gave the time, and it posted anonymously, and I think a lot of people couldn't quite figure out, people said, why is this anonymous, and others said, yes, it would be a good idea for people to go to their council meetings. Participation, that's good. So anyway, I went, and I was sure that I made sure I was early. I was the first one there. And I prepared my little spiel to make sure it was short. And nobody was saying anything about it being special, although the next person to come in was a reporter from the Altoona Mirror. Altoona is a nearby city. And she had come. And I think she maybe had seen that people were wondering, is something going to be going on? Is there going to be some kind of an announcement? And then another one that came very early was a reporter whom I already know from the Morrison's Cove Herald. And she was there too. She says sometimes she attends those meetings as part of her job. And gradually people came in. And it was sort of almost full. Yeah, it was full, but there's not much seating there. There might have been, I don't know, there might have been 15 people, maybe 20 from the general public, and then the meeting began. Well, I suspect that the anonymous person that put that announcement on was the woman or man or husband who, at the very end of the agenda, there was on the agenda an opportunity for somebody to file a complaint about a lilac bush. And so they finally got around to that. And, everything was pretty much normal business. This was not normal. She and her husband had put together a whole display of poster boards with pictures and dates. A little bit I'm reminded of that song, "You Can Get Anything You Want at Alice's Restaurant," with all the pictures and dated and arrows and stuff. But there was nothing funny about this. She was angry, very angry, and excited. And it started off just talking about a lilac bush and the damage that was done to her lilac bush, but it grew from that because it was in how they were treated when they complained about that. And I'm not going to go into that whole spiel, but that was one of the things, an oil slick on the road made by a truck that was a farm truck that shouldn't have been in the borough, but it got hot. I mean, people were insulting each other. I think that the people had no idea how little the borough has to work with in terms of funds. I think that if I got my figures right, that borough of about 2,500 people has a total yearly budget of about $1 million. Whereas I think if I got this right, the school district, its budget by comparison, I don't know if it was $35 million for the school district's budget. I don't know. But anyway, a lot of stuff came out. But the thing is, it was really hot. I mean, people were getting up out of their seats, and it was more than once I thought, is this going to break out into a brawl? Because insults were being thrown pretty much at the borough. False statements being made, insults, feelings being hurt. It was something to see. And I was amazed actually at the way it wound down, because by the end, the president of the Borough Council, he had kept control, and he calmed things down by the end, and then the meeting ended. I don't know what either newspaper, I don't know what they'll do about that, but as I was leaving, the one Borough Council member came up to me. He was walking the same way, and we talked a little bit, and I said, "Did you ever see a meeting like that before?" He said, "No, he never had." But it was friendly. So it's done. And now we'll see. This is the very next day, and we'll see how many of them said that they were going to check out the Roaring Spring campus of Frank School and the once and future Roaring Spring. I think they will. I don't know. I can't say every single one of them will, but I think they will. But as I say, it was minor. Now, it was amazing to see local government in action like that. I have no experience, zero, with local government. I don't know really anything about it. I know it kind of keeps things going. These council members, they were, what do you say, earning their salt or whatever you say at this point. There was no ho-hum about this meeting. It was angry and fierce and excited, and it lasted maybe for about an hour. No, that part of it, maybe not quite an hour, probably not, 45 minutes maybe. And I don't mean to be taking sides. I listened to their presentation, and they had some genuine complaints. And I would not, it was not my business to speak up, of course, anyway. I'm just watching and learning and learning. But as I was driving home, I was thinking to myself, well, I had a whole new vision of how hard it is to keep a little community like that civilized. You know, I live on a farm, and you know, if we have trouble with the water, well, we got to fix it. We got a well here and stuff. Whereas in your living in a little community like that, you're collectively dealing with problems. They went to sidewalks, speeding. There were a whole list of complaints from these people, and they were legitimate complaints. And you know, the council members, they listened to them all in spite of the insults that they were getting. So it was an insight for me, and it will affect me now, because when I came out, once again, I was just struck by the beauty of that town. Walking home in the evening with slightly lighted the Spring Dam Park, and just beautiful. I said to the one guy, I said, I don't know if those people realize what they've got here. This is such a beautiful place. And he says, I know. I agree with you. Well, maybe I'll stop for now. Bye.